So recently we have gotten some information about Phantasmal Flames that has caused some conversation in this space. Does this mean Phantasmal Flames will be cheap? Will it be easy to get this set because of this? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about here today in this video. So Phantasmal Flames, recently we got information about what's inside of the set, and the set is very small. And in fact, it's extremely small. PokeBeat puts it like this. So it'll be our smallest regular set in years. It will only contain 94 cards before Secret Rares. The last set that had a similar amount of cards was in 2010. So that was 15 years ago. So this is a very, very small set card-wise. Now, to be honest with you, the card amount for a set doesn't really matter. I know that you're like, what? Isn't that the whole point of this video and what you're talking about? Well, here's the thing. The total card amount for everything doesn't matter as much because there are sets, believe it or not, that actually have a less amount of cards than compared to other sets, but there's more special illustration rares and more illustration rares. Some examples of that are like Temporal Forces in Paradox Rift. Those sets aren't extremely big compared to some others, yet they have a decent amount of special illustration rares and illustration rares, even more compared to some other sets that have more total cards. So that is something worth noting. The card amount doesn't really matter too much. What really matters is the special illustration rares and the illustration rares. So there's only 5 special illustration rares in this set, which is a very low amount. I believe it is the lowest amount in Scarlet and Violet, I think. That's including the Pokemon and supporter cards. So that's not just Pokemon and supporters, they're not separate. That's including supporter cards. So that's a very, very small amount of special illustration rares, which really does matter for a set. That's why we see Prismatic Evolutions so expensive. Obviously, prices have gone down because of reprints, but that's why that set is so valuable, is because there's like 30 something special illustration rares, which is the, I guess top rarity. But there's 13 IRs, so at least there's not like a single digit amount of IRs. There's 13, but still, this is a very small set, and also, taking also into account the total card amount. This is a very, very small set. But just because it's a small set, does that mean that it's going to fail? Does that mean it's going to crash in price? Not necessarily. And that's why I'm making this video, to show you guys evidence of sets that don't, maybe card-wise, they're not as small as Phantasmal Flames, but in terms of SIRs, Special Illustration Rares, and IRs, Illustration Rares, they're very, very similar amounts. And if you look at how they are performing, well, I don't know if prices are going to crash for Phantasmal Flames, but 100% it will probably be cheaper than what it would have been if, let's say, there was maybe 10 plus special illustration rares, maybe closer to 20 illustration rares. This set would be a lot more expensive. So I will say that I think it will definitely not be as expensive as it could have been, but it definitely won't be cheap. That's all I'm going to say. Now, first, let's take an example of Journey Together. This is a very, very, relevant comparison, because this set was released during the hype. This set was released during this market, so that is the most, relevant comparison compared to all these other comparisons. But this set has over 180 cards, so it does have a lot more cards than Phantasmal Flames. So it is worth noting. But if you look at the special illustration rare counts and illustration rare counts, it's pretty similar. We all know Journey Together isn't a huge set. So you can see here, it has 6 special illustration rares. So only 6. So compared to the 5 that Phantasmal Flames has, it's only 1 more. It's not a huge difference, right? And then for regular illustration rares, it's 11. So very similar amounts of special illustration rares and illustration rares. So where is the booster box price currently sitting for Journey Together? It's at $230. We look at the performance. Yes, obviously when it came out, it had a point where it was sitting at $200 because, yes, the set was smaller. It didn't have the most popular Pokemon. That is also something worth noting. Comparing Journey Together, this is not the most popular set in terms of Pokemon. The most popular or most expensive card, I believe, still is the Lily's Clefairy. We're comparing a Charizard where we've seen the artwork for it, which is obviously, it's been received very positively in this whole space, the Mega Charizard artwork. We're comparing that card to the top chase of Journey Together being a Clefairy. So just remember that when I'm making this comparison, it's a little bit different because this set doesn't have super popular Pokemon like a Charizard, and we also, in Phantasmal Flames, have a Gengar, right? So just know that when I'm making this comparison, and even considering that Journey Together did not have any super popular mainstream Pokemon, it did go down, right, from about like 230 at release, 230, 240, all the way down to 200. But after a little bit, when it was sitting at 200 in the past 3 months, it's gone up, and now it's $230. So still nowhere near MSRP. And yeah, it's definitely cheaper than, like, for example, Destined Rivals, but it's still not very cheap at $230. But I mean, at this point, a base set Scarlet Violet box is $230. So Journey Together, even though small set, and is very comparable to the size in terms of SIRs and IRs to Phantasmal, it's not that cheap, and it's in fact gone up in the past few months, although it did drop initially after release. And that has to do also something with, obviously, there not being many SIRs and IRs, but you also have to take into account Clefairy isn't going to be as popular as Charizard. Now next here, Stellar Crown. Stellar Crown has over 170 cards, but obviously what's worth noting, SIRs and IRs, another set that's known to be not very big. Stellar Crown, you can see here, has 6 SIRs. It has 13 IRs, so very similar amounts to Phantasmal. And as you can see here, the booster box, and this was released just sort of it was like in the middle of the market changing, in between Twilight and Surging, which was sort of when the market started to turn around. Stellar is at $250, guys. So this is still a pretty new set. It's around a year old, something around there, and it's $250. So even a set that, it does have a Bulbasaur and Squirtle helping it out a lot. If it didn't have those two cards, this set would be probably, still be not, cheap, but probably wouldn't be this expensive. But even this set being the small, $250, yeah, you can see in Stellar Crown definitely isn't the most popular set ever, and still $250, taking everything into consideration, still expensive for being a small set. Now lastly here, Obsidian Flames. This is, I guess, it's hard to say how relevant this is because this is a way older set. It's 2 years old at this point. Over 190 cards, but if you look at the counts of the SIRs and IRs, similar, 6 SIRs, 12 IRs, and as you can see here, it's $311. And this set, if you guys didn't know, is extremely cheap. The cards in here aren't that valuable, but like I said, it's not as relevant as a comparison because it's much of an older set, so there's a lot more scarcity going on just over time. But it is a Charizard set, so you could compare that. But the artwork of Phantasmal Flames, the Charizard, compared to this Obsidian Flames SAR Charizard, it's a night and day difference. Obsidian Flames is a lot of in my opinion, worse artwork. I don't think anyone's going to argue Obsidian Flames Charizard artwork is better. And even this set being this small, over time, has gotten pretty expensive. And I think a lot of people are surprised how expensive it is, but it's because it's the Charizard, guys. In this new market, when all these new people came into Pokemon, a big reason why Obsidian Flames, in my opinion, has gotten this expensive is not only, yeah, it's older. Scarlet Violet base is older, but it's cheaper. Obsidian Flames has Charizard. What do a lot of new people, or just people that are mainstream in Pokemon, like the Gen 1 stuff? Charizard. Everyone knows Charizard, right? So think about Phantasmal Flames. Charizard. And it's a great artwork. So looking at these 3 sets, Journey Together, Stellar Crown, and Obsidian Flames, all very similar amounts of SIRs and IRs, because that's really what matters, not only card count, or total card count. This set, Phantasmal Flames, will it, like I said, not be as expensive as it could have been because of its, SIR and IR count? 100%. It's not going to be as expensive as it could have been, because if it was like Destined Rivals or something where it's a ton of SIRs, ton of IRs, this set, Phantasmal Flames, would be maybe more expensive than Destined Rivals. I could have seen that happening. But the fact that it's a smaller set, it's still going to be expensive, but it's not going to be as expensive as it could have been. So I don't know what a good price point is to pay, to be honest with you guys. I don't know at all. So, we haven't even seen any sales volume, any prices of anything being sold because we haven't gotten any pre-orders yet. So it's hard to say, but, just based on Mega Evolution, depending on how that turns out, I'm willing to pay more for Phantasmal Flames than Mega Evolution, even if it's a small set. That's just my opinion. Even though price, like I said, it's not going to be as insane. I think Phantasmal Flames, even though it's a smaller set, the Charizard and the Gengar, it's going to carry. And especially in this market, I don't see Phantasmal Flames being cheap just because it's a smaller set. And we have evidence of small sets performing fine. So that's all I want to share in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.